another edition of Spotlight on Business. I'm Eric Granstrom, your host here on the NCWLIFE channel. Today we're going to talk about asphalt. We've lived through another winter and summer is nearly here. And if you haven't had your blacktop sealed, or if you have some cracks showing, we're going to talk to just the people today. Brian Snyder at Blackrock Asphalt about taking care of your asphalt. It's right here on the NCWLIFE channel. Opening shop in 1999, Brian Snyder is the owner of Blackrock Asphalt Services in Wenatchee.
My business is asphalt maintenance, which entails seal coating, crack filling, striping. We do some minor patching, but we're in the maintenance industry. We don't lay new driveways or do any of that. And so we're the local Blackrock company. Just so happened that there was another company decided to come into town last year. It's a fly-by-nighter and using my name. So we're the real Blackrock Asphalt, and we cover Okanagan, Chelan, Douglas, and Grant counties.
Snyder says he grew up in the family orchard business, C&O Nursery, and also began seal coating as a high schooler.
In high school, a good friend of mine was my best friend. His dad had owned one of the old paving companies in town, and we were actually the first ones to ever start seal coating in this town using 55-gallon drums and brooms. And we actually had teachers that worked on our crew for us. Yeah, so it was, you know, that was kind of the learning curve, and it was a lot tougher back then with brooms and barrels.
Snyder gives us the basics on asphalt and seal coating, what it is, and when we should do it.
Asphalt is basically 95% rock and 5% oil. And the way I like to explain it to people when they ask, why should I seal coat, is it's virtually the same. You go out and put up a new fence or a new deck, and the first thing you really need to do is stain it or clear seal it, and it's to retain the oils in the wood. Asphalt is the same. So not only does it make it look great, but it also helps retain the oils. And so by maintaining that, you can double the life of your asphalt. And people constantly ask me, oh, when's the best time to do it? How soon should I do it after your asphalt is paved? Well, really, you let it go through one winter, let it get set up, and get that first sealer on, because asphalt is porous. And the more moisture that goes down into it, compared to also the sun baking it, as your asphalt gets gray, you're just oxidizing the oils out of it. And you get a lot more cracking a lot sooner. So, you know, the main thing is keeping the maintenance up on it, and you're going to save a lot of money down the road.
We've made it through winter, and the sun is now shining. What should we be looking for with our asphalt services?
Cracks, number one. You know, if there's cracks that are opened up. Number two, if your asphalt is getting a lot of gray look to it from the black, from, you know, something that hadn't been seal coated yet or something that had been. And that's a good way to look at it as far as when. And that's something we do, and it's something I've always done for years for my customers, is take a look at it, because it's one of those things people don't think about. And especially on the cracks, because one crack goes into 2, into 10, into 50, and then you have these areas which we call alligatored areas or waffled areas. And once you develop that, the only way you can fix those is cut and remove those and replace them, which is your most expensive asphalt repair. So crack filling can really help alleviate that and save you a lot of money over the years. One mistake that some people will do, they'll have cracks in their driveway and they'll take a pressure washer to them. Worst thing you can do, because what you'll do is just start gouging all those out and undermining those cracks in the asphalt. You know, we have a machine that we clean them with, a huge power broom, then we have a huge commercial push blower, and you clean them to a certain depth.
Snyder says with a flexible crew, Blackrock Asphalt can handle a variety of projects that come their way this summer.
We have an awesome crew. We have 2 different seal coat setup trucks, so we can come into the largest jobs and get them done in a timely manner. You know, we also have just what you see. It's a Craftco pull behind crack fill machine. So we're a lot more efficient now with that. I run a crew of 4 to 5 people during the summer and during the business time. A lot of hours. We're able to be with our big truck that holds, you know, roughly about 1,000 gallons. I can have a crew of a couple people on doing a half of a commercial job, and then we also have a smaller Duramax diesel that I can send a crew running around doing driveways. So we're set up a lot more flexible now.
When the community hears his business name, Snyder hopes customers think honesty and quality.
I want people to think of my business as being that responsible business that they can rely upon. As I mentioned, you know, our deal is I want the customer to know we're honest. We're going to let them know if it's worth sealing or not. You know, we have customers that are tough to deal with, you know, and I look at it as a challenge because, you know, I know what our crew and what we can do for them. And, you know, proud of my crew and my business, you know, of being that way for years. And so it's how you take care of those issues, if there is an issue, that I think puts us a step ahead, and also the quality of our work.
What makes Brian Snyder at Blackrock Asphalt happiest at the end of a long day of work?
Knowing that we've done a good job for the customers, you know, and the customers are happy, and, you know, we constantly get coming in, you know, with their payments, nice letters. Your crew was phenomenal, super polite. The job is excellent. And they tell their friends that. That's what really makes me happy, knowing the customer's satisfied.
On this edition of Spotlight on Business on the NCWLIFE channel, we're here in downtown Cashmere. Now, when I think of Cashmere, I think of Cashmere Valley Bank. I think of Applets and Cotlets. I also think of Crunchback. But one business that you should really think about when you're in downtown Cashmere is the Club Crow. Justin Hafner is coming up on his 3-year anniversary of owning the bar this June. He says he bought the business after working behind the bar for years.
Basically, I was working here, it went up for sale, and I really didn't want anything to change about it. Wanted to make sure it stayed kind of within Cashmere. I just really like the bar, I like the atmosphere here, and I didn't want somebody to come in and revamp everything. The building is 102 years old. They made it to be a bar, but Prohibition started, and so they couldn't do that. So they opened a smoke shop and a pool hall. And then once Prohibition ended, they were able to get the beer and wine license and kind of go from there.
Originally named the Club Tavern, Justin says the previous owners bought the bar and helped revive it. Did you know you used to be able to get a haircut here?
So where we're sitting right now actually used to be a barber shop. Actually, when I was a little kid, got my haircut probably right about here. When it was the barber shop, it was the same as the floor. So there was actually I remember having a screen door literally right over here, and you could see into the bar when I was a little kid.
What sparked the name change?
That was Tom and Paula, Jack and Sherry. They had property up the Chumstick, and basically they had a weekend away with themselves and some friends, and they found a dead crow in the water, and they hung it up, Tom did, as their mascot for the weekend. And shortly thereafter, they bought the bar, and the mascot just kind of stuck. So they kept the club to keep it, you know, a little bit of the original, and then added their own Crow, and that's just something I really like. That's something I never want to change.
Known as the longest bar in Washington, Justin tells us he's worked to bring new life to the bar while maintaining its local atmosphere.
I didn't want to change anything on this side of the bar. I wanted to keep the atmosphere, the music, everything like that. I wanted to keep that all the same. The main changes I made and want to make in the future are all behind the bar, making things a little bit easier for myself. I mean, I bartended for 9 years before I bought this place, and so I kind of knew what I wanted and how to make things easier. So just little things I've done is, you know, put in dishwashers. I added a second well at the other end. I mean, it's the longest bar in Washington, so going back and forth, you know, it can be very wearing, especially after, you know, 8-10 hour shift. Just making, I think, a little more user-friendly and keeping the atmosphere on this side the same. So you get a little bit better service with the same atmosphere.
If you stroll into Club Crow in Cashmere, you'll notice the unique decor on the walls and behind the bar, celebrating its tradition of live music and now bringing comedy to the scene.
So everything on the wall and ceiling, 99% of it is all bands that have played here before. I've tried to keep most of the posters up. Some of them are just, you know, a lot of them are 15 years old now and are just starting to wear, so I've replaced a few of them. But anything we've had up and coming, you know, I've tried to slap everything on the wall and keep it fresh. And then any bands that come through and are selling any sort of t-shirt or anything like that, I've tried to buy one and continue to hang those up too. When they built the Club Crow, that's basically what they built it on, was the music. So that's a tradition I really didn't want to break. So comedy, I've always loved comedy since I was a kid. I like laughing, I guess. And just a friend of a friend was booking for Jake the Snake Roberts and Alex Ansel. Jake the Snake, former WWF wrestler, and so I got in touch with him, and we kind of worked it out to bring them in, and that was the first. Alex Ansel opened for him. He's more of a comedian, and then Jake the Snake did more stories and things like that, and we did really well that night. And then I contacted another comedy club out of Seattle, and we've been working with them ever since.
Club Crow also has a tradition of celebrating the locals in a special way.
Well, there is a whole wall dedicated to, you know, former regulars who have passed away. Their pictures are up on that, and that's something I definitely wanted to continue. There's been a couple, you know, even in the last year, unfortunately, people that I've got really close with over the last 12 years, unfortunately passed away, and definitely want to keep, you know, if I end up going to their, you know, memorial service, get with their family afterwards and say, hey, if you would like to bring a picture in to me of the person, I'd love to put it up on the wall at the Club Crow as kind of a memorial to them. So if they were regular enough to have a specific drink and a specific spot, we will definitely, every year, the day they passed away, we'll set a drink out the entire day for them.
From the stuffed bear to the elk head to the neon above the bar, no matter where you sit at Club Crow, something interesting is destined to catch your eye. Justin says in addition to the bar, he's serving up food starting with meals named after a Cashmere local.
So one of my friends came in the back door, my buddy Matt, and I had just pulled out some pastrami out of the smoker. I had it and I was cutting off a hunk of it, and I said, hey Matt, you got to try this. And I just gave him a piece to sample. And so Matt tried it and he goes, oh my God, that's the best I've ever had. And so his last name's Nelson. He's also kind of a legend around here as far as the river. So on the menu, we made a new dish based off of my buddy Matt. It's called the Nelson, the half Nelson or the full Nelson. The half Nelson's a half pound of the pastrami, bread and coleslaw, and the full Nelson's just full pound. So yeah.
At Club Crow, there's something for everyone.
You know, a lot of bars you go to are catered toward one specific group. Like you have a country bar, you have a biker bar, and we kind of can cater to everybody. You know, on the weekends when bikers are riding from Leavenworth to Wenatchee or vice versa, we have so many bikers that stop through here, but wouldn't really classify it as a biker bar. And on weekends we have music, but you know, it's not really classified as a music venue. There's pretty much something to do for everybody. I mean, if you're looking to just come in for a bite to eat and not even have a drink, you can do that here. I mean, I guess really the only people we don't cater to is kids. So I guess other than that, you'll be able to find something to do here.
For Justin, he's proudest of making his dream a reality and catering to the Cashmere locals.
Since I turned 21, this has kind of been my end goal. And the fact I got there, I guess, is the most satisfying thing. And then every day is different too, though. I mean, some days somebody had a really rough day and you can kind of talk to them, and you know, that can be the most satisfying thing, is that, hey, maybe I took care of an individual. Another day could be, you know, a birthday party comes in, and so they're having a good time. So I guess the most satisfying thing changes from day to day, but ultimately being, I guess, my kind of accomplishing my goal is probably the most satisfying.
Welcome back to the NCWLIFE channel Spotlight on Business. I'm Eric Granstrom, and today we're going to talk about window treatments and window fashions and what might be right for your home. We're here at Miniblinds More. We're going to talk about the technology that has changed over the years and what might have changed in the business itself at Miniblinds More since Darren Bobby Sudd took over in 2007. It's coming up next on our Spotlight on Business on the NCWLIFE channel.
It was a long roundabout way. I grew up working on farms in the Palouse, and if you would have told me I would have been decorating windows, I would have told you were crazy. But got into sales, and the sales was mostly just straight commission and things of that nature. So I answered a job out of the job ad out of the Spokesman Review. It said sales plus commission, outside sales, salary plus commission. So I said, that's for me. It just happened to be a window covering company. So. And born and raised in Spangle, Washington, so a little farm kid. And I just, like I said, my dad was in sales, and I always wanted to get into sales as well, so I kind of just migrated that way. I went to work after I was going to school when I was working for the window covering company, and after I graduated school, I wanted to get into some type of factory rep job, so I was already selling window coverings, so I went into the manufacturing side of the window covering business. And Wenatchee was part of my territory. My territory was Eastern Washington, Eastern Oregon, and Northern California at first. And then in the 2000s, the economy early 2000s, the economy kind of went down, and we had a couple people quit. So instead of hiring more people, they just expanded my territory. So I got Alberta, Canada, and Western Montana. So needless to say, I was not home very often. So I met Richard and Shirley, who the previous owners of Miniblinds More, and they were looking to retire, and one thing led to another, and here I am. It was easy because I was in outside sales, so it was an easy transition. It was just a totally different product. I was selling windows and siding and things like that, and now selling window coverings was more of the decorating interior design and things of that nature.
Miniblinds More has been in the Wenatchee Valley since 1989, providing custom window treatments with a high level of customer service. Darren decided to purchase the company in 2007 from founders Richard and Shirley Ehrenberg during a somewhat rocky economy.
The first month in 2007, June of 2007, we had the biggest month the company ever had. And so I was like, sweet. And then in August, we had the lowest revenue the company ever had. And I went, uh-oh, what did I do? But it worked out. We had a couple people quit here. My office manager quit, so instead of hiring somebody else, I just kind of did both jobs, and we worked it that way. It was a lot different, but a good different too. So people could come in, look at the products here, and then we can schedule appointments and then go out and bring everything out. So they have an idea of what they're looking for. So it's a nice way of doing it. It's a lot easier than just showing up cold calling and saying, "Here, here's what I got."
What does Miniblinds and More have to offer?
Window coverings. Lots.
Like what?
Yeah, all types of window coverings, anything that covers a window, outside awnings, sunscreens, patio covers, anything pretty much to do with shade you can find here at Miniblinds and More. Richard and Shirley always had, they even did carpet back in the day, but so I got out of that and went more into the patio covers and awnings and things of that nature.
Since buying the company in 2007, we asked Darren how the industry has changed.
Probably that technology is the biggest change. The motorization has changed. When I first got into the business, it was more of just a point and click type of thing. And now, I mean, you could open your shades with Alexa and Google Home and all of that stuff. You can tie them into home automation and all of that as well.
How does Miniblinds and More work to help its customers through the process of deciding on window treatments? Darren says it takes patience and listening to his customers' needs.
It's difficult at times because I'm the last person in there. A lot of times people move into the home and go, "Holy cow, I'm living in a fishbowl," you know? So they're pretty much done with all the decision making, or they think they are, and then they've got one more decision to make. So I just go in and ask them what they're looking for. You know, why do they want the window coverings? Is it more sun control? Is it more privacy? Is it insulation, or all three? And then kind of tailor, you know, what I show them to what they tell me.
Living in a valley with sometimes frigid winters and scorching summers, Darren says a good set of blinds or an exterior sunscreen can make a world of difference.
So you can put like honeycomb shades. The more air you can trap up against the glass, the better. You don't save the energy per se, but you just make it more comfortable. When the cold air and the hot air or warm air from the inside meet, you create a draft, and that's the more you can eliminate that, the more comfortable your home's going to be. The outside sunscreens, if you can block that heat before it gets to your window and heats it up, it's a lot more efficient than doing something on the inside for the heat as well.
From a wide selection of products to installation and repair, Miniblinds and More works to take care of its customers from the start. Darren says along with helping customers outfit their windows, he keeps up on trends and technology in the industry.
Supposedly, at the beginning of 2020, we're not going to have any cords on blinds. That's what we're hearing. Motorization has come down dramatically. It used to be, I mean, a shoot of motor was like $600, and now you can get it all the way. I have a motor for a honeycomb shade. It's only $235, and I can discount it from there as well. A lot of cordless operating systems on the roller shades and the honeycomb shades and things like that. Anything to get rid of the cords for child and pet safety. More and more motorization. There's a lot of motorization companies competing right now to try to get the best motor for a good price. So everybody is kind of fighting that technology to get, you know, to be the first and the best and make it better. Primarily, I carry Hunter Douglas and Lafayette. The reason that I carry those is they're high quality. So when I put them in a home, I don't come back and have to worry about manufacturing defects. For the most part, every shade will have certain things, you know, that will go wrong with it. But the Hunter Douglas and the Lafayette, the higher end brands, higher quality brands seem to have less problems.
We asked Darren what he values most at Miniblinds and More.
Well, customer service, bottom line, as pretty much my whole business model is try to do everything possible to make the customers happy. Be fair, be able to look at myself in the mirror and treat your customers right, and that's pretty much how we stay in business. You know, if I make a nice sale, I mean, I'm glad I made a nice sale. I got the customer what they needed, and at the end of the day, I'm able to work for myself.